A very good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Dr. P.T. Kasturibai, Head Department of Computer Science, Tiruthangal Nadar College, welcoming you all for this 5 days work, FDP. It's my pleasure to welcome our Chief Guest, Dr. G. Deepa, Assistant Professor, Department of MCA, SRM Institute of Science Technology, for accepting our invitation to deliver a speech on open sources tools for research. I'm very glad to welcome our Secretary and Correspondent in absentia, Principal Dr. V. Devi, Vice Principals Dr. K.C. Lalitambiga, Dr. Rossi Tambi, heads of various discipline and other faculty members for this wonderful FDP. I once again welcome you all for this FDP. Now I request Mrs. Mangai, Assistant Professor of Commerce, to introduce the Chief Guest to the August gathering.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm profoundly delighted to take an opportunity to introduce the chief guest for the day, Dr. G. Deepa, for our 5 days FDP program on the art and science of research paper writing. Cultivating a culture of continual learning will benefit all the aspects of the institution. Thus, to facilitate the upgradation of knowledge, we have today here with us Dr. G. Deepa, who is currently working as assistant professor in Department of MCA, SRM, Institute of Science and Technology. She has received her MCA degree from Dr. MGR Educational Research Institute, Chennai, an MTech degree from Satyabama University, Chennai, and a full-time PhD research scholar from University of Madras. She has 6 years of teaching experience and 4 years of research experience. She has also published 12 research papers in various reputed SCI and Scopus indexed journals and presented papers in 11 international conferences and 3 national conferences. She has filled and published patent as the title of Parallel Encoder and Decoder Network for Brain Tumor Segmentation. Her main research area includes machine learning, artificial neural networks, medical image processing, and pattern recognition. Welcome you, ma'am. Today, on day 4, our chief guest, Dr. G. Deepa, madam, would enrich us more on the open source tools for research. Please, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. As my screen is visible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you're audible.
Yes, ma'am. Is my screen is visible, ma'am? Shall I continue?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good afternoon, honorable present here. This is Dr. G. Deepa, Assistant Professor, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram. First, I have to thank the organizer of this faculty development program for inviting me to share my knowledge and ideas in this day 4 session on open source tools for research. These are all agenda of our today's session. First, we are going to discuss about objectives of open source tools and research, and then open source software and also closed source software. There is a difference between open source software and closed source software that we are going to discuss. Rules for manipulating some simple research, and then some of the researchers' favorite tools, and top 10 open source tools and the top 10 open source softwares. And Berkeley Software Distribution has developed such kind of software. That is also we are going to discuss in this session. At final, some of the tools which we are using for academic research management that we are going to discuss. The main objectives of this today's session is to know deeply about the concepts behind the open source tools for doing research, and then we are going to make understand the availability of open source research software, the usage of open source software for various research oriented application. Finally, we are going to discuss some tools related to academic research management. First, we are going to see what is meant by open source. Open source software is a compiler software. So that means the software service provider is going to develop a particular software. That software is distributed to the many end user. So any end user can able to access, view, modify and redistribute a particular software is called as a open source. Open source in the sense open source software which is freely available to the user without paying any money. User can able to utilize a particular software is called as a open source software. So which contains such kind of license and standards. So each service provider of this open source is maintaining such software to the number of end user. End user can able to utilize a license as well as utilize a software. They can able to modify, distribute and they can able to contribute their own ideas for this open source software also. So the software will have some flexibility. So we can able to extend this open source software in an enormous level. So that is the basic advantages of this open source software. So in this open source software is highly useful for the analysis, simulation, visualization of any research. So the main advantage of this open source software is increased developer loyalty and empowerment, which is available in the form of very low cost. So that means which is freely distributed to the number of users, so that user need not to pay any money to the open source service provider. So sometimes which will be freely available, sometimes which will be available at lower cost. So increasing branding of services and products. We can able to extend this open source software so any people, any service consumer can able to give their contribution to this open source software. And then the production of high quality software. So the service provider can able to get high quality software. So thus we are going to discuss it later because in this session we are completely going to discuss about what are the open source software, how it has been expanded, and what are all the software which we are using for our research. So that we are going to see. And the flexibility and the rapid innovation. So any people can able to contribute means any people. If I am the innovation provider, I am just going to develop my ideas and then I can able to modify a software with my ideas. So the software will have the flexibility. It can be extendable. Customization and modular integration and increased reliability and independence of the software and open standards. So the open source service provider is also maintaining some kind of standards and licenses. So the licenses along with software is distributed to the end user. So that is the major advantages of this open source software. So open source software is maintaining such kind of principles. That means that will be freely redistribution. That means the software service provider is going to distribute the software to the number of users at no cost or lower cost. And another important thing is source code can be editable by many users. That is one of the major advantages of this open source software. And then derived works. So many people can able to contribute in the sense. So large number of people who are working for this open source software, not only the service provider. So who has developed the particular software. So he just distributed the software to the people means I think the service provider get the enormous number of software codes from the service consumer so that the software will be extended. So another thing is integrity of the author source code. So source code will be available to the any user. No discrimination against the person, groups or endeavors. So the license is also distributed to the user and the license must be specific to the product and other software. License must be technology nature. So we have one more term is called as a closed source software. So in an open source software which is freely available to the user, but in the open source software is comparatively different from the open source software. That means in a closed source software which is not freely available to the user, So only service provider or proprietary software provider can only able to rights to use, modify and copy a particular software. Many user and this closed source software. So the service provider only can able to modify a software. Only license has been distributed to the number of user. The software cannot able to distribute to the number of user in the closed source software. Only software license for the particular period has been distributed. Any doubt from the open source and closed source software? So closed source software contains some restrictions. So that means they are following their own standards and licenses. So that is a major advantages of this closed source software. So only service provider can able to contribute the particular software, and then it has some legal restrictions. That means it sometimes the code is available to the number of known groups. That means some of the group of individual auditors or government officials or some only authorized person can have to use a particular software in a closed source software. So here I have given some of the example about open source and closed source software. Some closed source software examples are Apple, Windows Phone, iOS, McAfee. I think McAfee is the antivirus. This antivirus we can able to distribute 4 or 5 people. So while distributing, only license has been distributed. License means the license to use the software for a particular period that has been distributed 4 or 5 users. User can able to use that software is any of the devices, whether it is a mobile phone, whether it is a laptop, or whether it is a desktop, so whatever it is. And the open source software examples are Android, Memes, and Ubuntu, Linux. So these are all the open source software examples. So here I have given some of the differences between open source and closed source software that has been defined by using some kind of parameters. First parameters is the short term of this open source software as OSS and closed source software as CSS. The basics of this open source software that has been distributed to the many people without any cost, but the closed source software has been distributed to the number of people at certain limitations, and then the source code cannot able to view by the closed source software. And then open source software which is publicly available to the user, closed source software is not publicly available to the software. So in an open source software, any user can able to modify a code, any user can able to contribute some kind of code in this open source software. Whereas in closed source software, only the organization or service provider can able to modify a particular source code. The price of this open source software is very less when compared to the closed source software. Open source software does not contain any restriction, but closed source software contains high restriction. Programmers can able to recognize a particular software, and also programmer and other, I think the service consumer can also able to update a particular code. So this is a continuation for open and closed source software. And another, the programmer feedback has been get for the open source software. The programmer feedback is not considered in a closed source software. Only the service provider, they can modify the closed source software. The team strength of this open source software is an enormous number of people can able to modify, or they can able to contribute for the open source software. Only the limited people can able to contribute for closed source software. So the code purchasing is the user. That means the code which will be seen by many user and which will be editable by the many user in a open source software. But whereas in closed source software, only authorized person can able to view the source code. Open source software we can able to install in any computer, whereas in closed source software have restriction to install into the number of devices. And at the same time, the failure of this open source software is also high. At the same time, at faster rate, we can able to fix it. And also in closed source, the failure will be less, but if any failure occurs, the service provider only can able to rectify a software. It means it takes a long time to recover it. And open source software contains no responsibilities, and closed source software contains high responsibilities. So some of the examples of open source software is Firefox, Gim, OpenOffice, Android, Thunderbird, Zimbra, MySQL, Text, and these are all the examples for the open source software. In closed source software, VirtualBox, WinRAR, Microsoft Windows, Microsoft Office, Adobe Flash Player, Mac OS, and many other softwares are coming under for the closed source software. So up to this, we have seen what is meant by open source software and what is meant by closed source software, how the open source software is freely available to the user, and the drawbacks of the closed source software, and the exact difference between open and closed source software. So here I have given some of the rules for manipulating a simple research. So that means I am a student, I don't know how to develop a particular research, how to start a research. I am from the scratch, I am going to start a research. Consider I am the student, I don't know how to do a research. In a scratch, I am going to start my research. So that time, what I have to do? So I just refer all the existing papers that researchers already did, or I have to refer what are the researches has been conducted earlier. So that research I have to gather all the information regarding this, and how the research has been executed, how the authors have prepared the questionnaire, how the authors have distributed the questionnaire, how the authors have implemented, and how they conducted the literature review, and how the results has been distributed, and how the results has been compared with existing software, existing available research. So these are other things I need to consider before starting my research. So that time, so we need such kind of tools. So that means what are the tools we need at what place to execute a particular research. That means existing researchers, what are the tools they have used to develop a software, that I need to consider. Based on the tools, that means for collecting a data, we need some tools. For distributing a data, we need some tools. At the same time, for implementing a software or implementing the methodology, we need some open source or closed source tools. So that all I need to gather, and I need to consider, what are the existing tools were used in the research. From that, I'll gather some information. I'm going to start a new research. So while starting the research, my aim is to automate all the process. I'm going to avoid a manual work. At the same time, I'm going to use the latest version of the software, and I'm going to track each and every variables of the existing software. These are all the things we are usually doing for our research, right? So researchers' favorite tools. So some of the researchers are using tools for infrastructure and data management, cyber security, AIML, and applications. For infrastructure development, Netdata, Docker is highly useful. And data management tools, Crunchbase, Redis, Timescale. So these are all the tools are highly useful for the data management. For cyber security, Corelight, Tigara. So these are all highly useful for the cyber security. And for AML development, HTO.ai, Python, Emiscale, Data Robot. These are all the things we are using for AML. And if you want to develop any kind of applications, means Compound, Staffy, Mapbox, and OpenCell. So these are all the tools which we are using to develop a applications. Some of the community tools is also available to communicate to the peer group. That means through this communication tools, we can able to contribute our own program. We can able to share our programs and we can able to collaborate our programs by using these communication tools. In which source code and GitLab was highly useful. So from this, I have extracted top 10 open source tools which we are going to see in this session. So in the first question, first I'm going to tell about CryptoPad. So CryptoPad is nothing but high text pad. So it is like a Google document or any other document. We are just pasting our content. We are just giving our content. So that content has been automatically paraphrased. The content has been automatically aligned in the form of spreadsheet, presentation, carbon board, and that will be given to us. So that this will be highly useful because we no need to format all the contents. The contents has been formatted by the crypto tools so that we can able to easily get our presentation spreadsheet by using the script file. And another important tool is Zotero. So Zotero is nothing but the citation manager. So we are the researchers, we are using and publishing a papers. We are writing and publishing papers at every day in our life. So that the citation we are calling from the text is highly difficult task. So at the last stage, we are just putting a references. In the references, what are the paper we have referred to write a particular book or chapter or particular journal that we have referred at the last pages of the references. In that references has been automatically called inside the text. So for that purpose, we are using this Zotero software. And another important top 10 tool is Zenodo. So Zenodo is nothing but the DOA producer. So that means we have a content, we have a research paper, we have a conference paper or any paper we can able to put in this Zenodo software. So that software is automatically give us a DOA number. So through the DOA number, we can able to share our papers and whatever our research done that we can be able to share by using the DOA number. Zenodo is highly useful to generate this kind of DOA number. So we all know what is the RCID ID. So RCID ID is nothing but researcher's personal ID. So any researchers can be able to create their own personal ID by using this RCID, right? So in this RCID, we can able to put our publications, conferences, achievements, events, everything in our account. So that has been created by using RCID ID. That RCID ID we can able to share to the number of users. So another important tool is Draw.io. So we are actually for academic purpose, for research purpose, for any purpose, we are doing chart, flow chart, methodology chart, and the experimental result chart. So everything we are making, everything diagram we are making, right? So that diagram we can able to draw by using this Draw.io software. So that this is highly useful to make a diagram interactively. That means it contains the enormous number of templates. By calling that template, we can automatically change the template according to our academic purpose. So another tool is GitLab. So GitLab is nothing but, so in everyday life, we are maintaining many files. For example, if you are maintaining files today, tomorrow we are just making some modification in it. Again, we are going to make some modification in it. So the modification has been tracked by using this GitLab. That means GitLab is used to maintain all the versions of the software from starting stage to ending stage. And another tool is RDMO, Research Data Management Organizer tool. So this tool is highly useful to maintain a database. And data related content have been hierarchically maintained. We can able to make such kind of directory by using this RDMO tool. So unpaywall. So what does mean by that means unpaywall is is available in the form of browser plugin that means we can able to add on. So this is available in the form of add-on features that we can able to add on in our browser. By clicking this unpaywall, we can able to get large number of research papers from the online. That means a research paper, article, conference paper, the lakhs and lakhs of papers is available. So available in the online that we can able to download easily by using this unpaywall. So another thing is Atom. So Atom is nothing but plain text editor. So that means this editor is used to edit image, videos, audios. So we are maintaining the data in the form of any text, images, videos, audios, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional. Now it is available in the form of 5-dimensional also. In any dimensional data or any text data, numerical data that has been easily edited by using this editable tool is called as the Atom. And another thing is matrix on Riata. So which is nothing but which is used to collaborate research ideas, which is used to collaborate the papers from certain peer group. That means the number of peer systems have been connected. We can able to communicate our research ideas, papers and conference paper, everything in it. So this is highly useful and highly secure one. So these are all the tools which we are using in our research. This tools is used to develop some bigger number of software. So in the next slide, I have given top 10 open source softwares. So now I am coming to the point. So what is meant by tools? What is meant by software? So tools is a small part of software, small part of applications. Tool which may be available in the form of two forms. One is called as a hardware tools. Second one is called as a software tools. Hardware, both by using the tools we can able to develop any hardware or software. So hardware and software is a bigger part. Tool is a smaller part of this hardware and software. By using tool we can be able to develop a software. So now we understand about what is meant by tools and what is meant by software. Tool is a small part of software which is used to develop such kind of software applications. So now we are going to see top 10 open source softwares. And the first important thing is Mozilla Firefox. That we all already know. Mozilla Firefox is a well-known browser. Nearly 3.98% of worldwide browser market it has been occupied, which we can able to incorporate in any of the devices, whether maybe the Android or iOS or Windows or Linux, any platform we can able to incorporate this Mozilla Firefox. And the second important software is LibreOffice. So LibreOffice is nothing but in like a Microsoft Office. In Libra we have such kind of tools that is Libra Writer, Calc, and Impress. Libra Writer is similarly to the Word, and Calc is similarly to the Excel, and Impress is similarly to the PowerPoint presentation. So we can able to create our text PowerPoint presentation and Excel document by using LibreOffice, which is defaultly available in the Linux OS, and we can able to use this. We can able to install this LibreOffice in Mac, Linux, and Windows OS also. So another important software is GIMP. So GIMP is nothing but GNU image manipulation program. So in recent days, we are handling various number of images, whether it is research purpose, whether it is academic purpose, we are handling the images. So that images we can able to customize, and we can able to make a design, and we can able to make it as an animated one. So by using this GIMP software. I think this GIMP software is like a Adobe Flash Player like that. So and another one is VLC Media Player. This we all know. This VLC media player is highly used to play video, media, audio files, and play disk like this. It webcams, Steams, and devices. In many places, we can able to, for many purpose, we can able to use this VLC media player. This VLC media player we can able to download in any Android, Mac OS, and Linux, Windows, and iOS platforms. So next, Linux. So we all know Linux as a platform. That means Linux, which are available in the form of operating system. Inside this Linux operating system, nearly 83.1% of developers are using this Linux platform, because this Linux platform is a highly user friendly, highly secured one. A large number of people are using this Linux platform. Inside this Linux OS, we can able to incorporate large number of softwares. We can able to download and install easily large number of softwares, and we can able to use this Linux also. So another important software is Blender. Any visual communication researchers or any 3D graphics animation tools, if you want to make means, we can use this Blender software, which is highly used for motion tracking, simulation, animation, video editing, rendering, modeling, and these kinds of tasks has been done by using this Blender software. And another thing is GNU image compiler collection. So that means if we are the software developer, we are developing our software or products by using any one of the programming language like C, C++, Java, Python, Fortran. So likewise, we are using many languages nowadays. So these languages, if you want to run these kind of languages, we need to install it separately in our system. Then only we can able to type the particular program in our system. After that only we can able to run the program, and we can able to develop a software. So without these tasks, if you want to run our program by using any compiler, that will be automatically available by the GNU compiler collection. So our programs we are writing in any language, that we can able to post in this GNU compiler, and we can able to easily run our programs, and we can able to develop a software by using this GNU compiler collection. Another recently using tool is called as a Python. So most of the research industries, IT industries are using this Python software, so which is freely available. Any people can able to contribute for the software, because Python contains large number of modules. That means at the initial stage of Python development, only small number of modules has been developed by the Python service provider. After we are getting number of version 3.2, 3.8, 3.7 like that. So in the latest version, the Python is available with lakhs of modules in it, because if I want to, I have developed some applications like video image processing, number plate tracking, or any other medical image related applications. Means I have developed some modules. So that modules I have given in the Python program. That modules I can able to easily incorporate to the Python programs. So that is the major advantages of this Python program. So that the Python program is extended at the enormous level because of these kind of development by the service consumers. So we all know why we are using for the PHP. So PHP is highly useful to develop the static and dynamic web pages. Through web pages, we can able to interact with the domains, and we can able to interact some contents through the online. Shortcut. So Shortcut is one of the video editor. So we all know video is available in the form of number of frames. So number of frames in the sense each frame contains two-dimensional rows and columns. So number of frames means collection of two-dimensional frames, collection of two-dimensional images in a particular second. Particular second means we are running a two-dimensional images in a particular second means we can able to get a video image. That means shortcut is highly useful to edit a video in marriages or any college functions or any places. We are just collecting the video, we are just editing the video, and we are just combining the videos. For that purpose, we are using this shortcut tool, which is noise free and which is highly useful in the Linux, Windows, and Mac OS platforms. So up to this, we have discussed about some of the open source tools and open source softwares and some of the difference between open source and closed source software. So these are all we have discussed up to this. And another important thing is Berkeley Institute of Data Science. That means we are handling enormous number of data nowadays, because even in a smartwatch also we are having a data. Even in a video image also we are having a data. So each data we are having. Even in a medical places we are having a data, patient information, BP, sugar, like that medical information we are storing in every day. So we need to handle a data. So the data handling department is called as a data science. In Berkeley Institute of Data Science, that means BITS has contributed some kind of software which is highly available to the many users. So that software we are going to see. And this CCMML. So machine learning. We all know what is meant by machine learning. Machine learning is used to uh, perform some statistical operation, which is used to this machine learning algorithm is highly used to learn from the data. So that means the data, extract some information from the data. We are going to mimic the machines to behave like a human. So for that purpose, we are training the machine by using any machine learning algorithm and has learn some contents from the data by using this tool. That means CCMML is highly used to develop a web application, and also it contains Python libraries inside it, because Python libraries already embedded in this CCMML platform. So this is used to develop any kind of machine learning algorithm. Through the algorithm, we can able to develop large number of IT and softwares. So another tool is called as a Jupyter, which is available in the form of notebook. This notebook is highly useful for the software development and Python development. Many scientists, developers, educated, and data scientists are using this tool for making workflows, educational, computational narratives, and data analytics. Mothra, which is highly useful to combine all the codes together. That means, well, if you consider an image which is available in the form of two-dimensional form, two-dimensional in the sense that will be available in the form of rows and columns. If we split that rows and columns into single dimensional one means we are having nearly 256 plus 256 65,000 and 65,000 out of 65,000 data for a single image. So that kind of data, we can able to handle each and every numerical data for our application. Then only we can able to develop a data. So before developing a data, we need to give input to the model. Model have to train a data, and then after training the learnable parameters has been developed in a machine learning algorithm. So for this purpose, we are using this Mothra software. And some other softwares also we are using, that is networks, NumPy. NumPy is a numerical Python which is used to handle a numerical values. NetworkX is actually used to network analysis by using Python. And another important tool is Scikit-Image. So another important SciPy. So these are scientific Python, and the image related files we are going to handle means Scikit-Image. And ROpenSci and SkyPortal. So these are all the tools that have been highly developed by using Python, which is highly used to handle large number of data. And here I have given some kind of tools which we are using for academic research management purpose. Here in the first column, I have given 10 research management tools. That means margin note, Zotero, reference work. So if you want to automatically give reference to our text, means this reference works. EndNote is highly used to develop a particular research article. Mandally, we can able to cite our research article. So these are all the highly used for research management tool. And another important thing is references or index resources. That means after publishing a paper that has been automatically referred by using Google Scholar, Archive, Springer. So these are all we already know that. And another important tools which we are using is called as a collection tools. For data collection, for data organizing, we are using these kinds of tools that is called as a Google form. We are collecting the data by using in the form of Google, and also survey making, and then survey preparation, and then parse of doc parser, Scrappy, Trinity. So these are all the tools have been used to collect information. Thank you. Thank you for the participants for your patient listening. And if you have any queries, you can raise.
Thank you, ma'am. Any
Yes,
queries
ma'am.
from the participant side?
Any queries from the participants?
Participants can also send their queries through chat box also. Hope they are satisfied with your lecture, it seems, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hope, shall we end the session, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and serving us, sharing your knowledge regarding this open source tools for research, ma'am. It was a wonderful and explanatory session. Thank you so much for attending, being a part of our FTP program 5 days. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you
participants,
for
the
the
feedback has been shared in the chat box, and it is also shared in the YouTube link also. Thank you, ma'am. And hope we are
Thank
almost
you,
to
ma'am.
end towards the 5 days FDP program. And tomorrow we have got the last day session. And the chief guest for the last day will be Dr. S. Jagdishwaram from DB Jain College. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.